Welcome to the Talented Talk film. We'll be looking at the fantastic stage where your child's talking in sentences and sounding more like an adult each day. We'll be covering quite a long time frame here, roughly from around 3, when your child can use and understand short, simple sentences, to 5 years old, when they're able to use and understand longer and more complex sentences.
Tune in.
You need to be an equal partner in conversation with your child, and you can start by tuning in to how they're communicating.
Follow your child's lead.
Your child's imaginative play is really developing now and gets more complex as their language improves. It's really important to let your inner child out and get involved, but make sure you don't take over. Let your child lead the play and follow them. They'll stay interested for longer and you'll both get so much more out of the interaction.
Face to face. Be face to face with your child. Always try to make sure you're physically at their level when playing or talking. Move round with them to make sure you can see each other's faces. Your child will feel valued and will want to learn more from you.
Here we go.
Press pause.
This is really important. Press pause and wait to be invited into the play. Try not to dive in or take over.
Who's that?
Him.
Join in and play. Now you can have fun. Join in and try to extend your child's play by following what they want to do and adding ideas to help the play along.
That's better.
Speak up.
You're following your child's lead now, so they're ready to hear some language. It's time to speak up.
Have a special time to talk.
Conversations with your child are now becoming much more like conversations you're used to with adults. They're taking more of an active role by asking questions and introducing topics themselves.
Try to make time for conversations. Talk to your child about the things you're doing during the day. Turn any activity into a chance for a chat. But it's also important to try to have at least one time in the day when you know you can have a conversation without being interrupted. This might be at bath time or on the way back from nursery or school. Meal times are a great time to talk, so try to sit and eat together. Board games are a really good idea at this stage, as not only is it a focused time when you can interact together, it's also a fun way to help your child with their attention and listening, negotiating, problem solving and social skills. Talk in your first language.
Talk to your child in the language you're most comfortable with.
Now they're at school or nursery, they'll be starting to pick up English. Carry on with your home language. They need to have a good grasp of this. There's no evidence to suggest that using more than one language slows down a child's language development. In fact, being bilingual helps children academically and with future career prospects. It also helps them to feel part of your family's culture, and this boosts their self-esteem. It's a great gift to give your child and should be celebrated. Listening comes first.
Recent research by Oregon State University has shown that helping your child learn to pay attention, follow directions and persevere with a task gives them a better chance of getting a degree when they're older, rather than drilling them in academic subjects like knowing their numbers, letters and colours. The study showed that the biggest predictor of whether or not a child would complete university was whether or not they were able to pay attention and finish tasks at age 4, rather than their maths or reading ability.
Focusing on developing your child's attention and listening skills so that they can follow spoken instructions. We'll look at this a bit later.
Well done, good boy.
Give them lots of praise and encouragement when doing tasks like jigsaws or building blocks, so they learn to persevere despite coming across problems. Give specific praise.
Good girl, good setting up.
Once these foundation skills are laid down, the rest of their learning can build on top.
Woo!
Make your questions count. Adults tend to ask children an endless list of questions. What colour is it? How many are there? What are you doing? It's because we want our child to talk to us. But you might be turning the chat into a bit of an interrogation. especially if you don't leave time for your child to respond before you fire another question at them. Avoid asking too many questions. Instead, try commenting. Turn your questions into comments. Instead of, "What are you doing with the water?" say, "Oh, you're pouring the water." 5-finger rule. For every question you ask, make your next 4 turns a comment.
Down to land. Crash.
Genuine questions.
Only ask questions you genuinely don't know the answer to. When you ask a child what colour or how many, you're testing their knowledge, but they can learn so much more about concepts like colour and number if you're constantly giving them that information to soak up.
Ask the question in your head.
Ask the question in your head and say the answer out loud. So in your mind you think, how many wheels has the car got? And out loud you say, the car's got 4 wheels.
Pondering. A tip I use a lot with my own children is to let them be the expert on the subject. Pull a confused face and ask, "I wonder," instead of asking a direct question.
I wonder what you'll be when you grow up.
I'm going to school.
You're going to go to school.
Support narrative skills.
Your child will be asking lots of questions themselves now. Try to be patient and answer them even though they can become endless. You're their main source of information about how the world around them works. The ability to ask and respond to these questions is vital for supporting their knowledge of narrative structure. This is the idea that any written or spoken story or poem or essay requires a basic structure. And children need this for reading and writing.
Parents can help do this through working with their children with their reading, for example. When you're reading a text with the child, you need to get them to discuss the text with you. Start developing the children's prediction skills by asking them what's going to happen next. You also want them to discuss and develop their inference and deduction skills by saying, right, what's happening here? Why do you think it's happening? Talk about characters. How do you think they're feeling in books? Talk about the whole plot. So this develops children's understanding. It's not only in books, you can be doing this in films. You can look at a picture and get exactly the same information to develop children's inference and understanding. This in turn develops their language skills, which will help them access the curriculum as they get older and older, and the curriculum gets harder and harder.
Simple language.
If you want your child to follow an instruction, try to simplify your language. This will make it easier for them to attend to and understand. It's useful to say their name first so you get their attention.
Extend and expand.
Your child will start to understand time concepts such as past, present and future. They'll be able to think about reasons and explanations for why things happen or imagine how other people might be feeling. You can now extend beyond the here and now in your talk, so that you introduce more abstract information than just basic concepts like colour, number, shape and texture. This helps increase your child's understanding of the world around them, and it's vital for introducing them to the language of learning. This is the language used in school, where they'll be expected to do new things like predict, infer meaning, plan, negotiate, problem solve and reason.
Extend on what your child says by providing details.
Good, that's blue like the sky, isn't it?
Relating to the past or present.
On your holidays.
You went on your holidays last week, didn't you?
Explaining.
It'll be nice and juicy in a bit.
That one isn't.
That one isn't, no.
Talk about feelings and opinions.
Here's the fire station. Oh my goodness, I bet they're so scared.
Projecting into other people's feelings or situations that your child's never experienced before.
If I had a long neck, I would reach the top of the house.
Talking about the future.
When we go on holiday, we're going to go in a plane?
Pretending.
Sharp.
It's not sharp.
It is sharp.
Speech.
By the end of this stage, your child's speech will be easily understood. Some sounds might still be tricky, such as clusters like spr in spring or fr in frog. Don't try to correct your child, just say the words back to them in the correct way. If you ask them to repeat the word, they're likely to say it back in the wrong way again. Just keep being a good model for them and praise any attempts they make at difficult words.
But you don't have a long neck.
I want a long neck.
You don't have to have a long neck. A lion.
A lion, well done.
If you're concerned about your child's speech sounds, contact your local speech and language therapy team. They usually have an open access policy, so you won't need to go through your GP or health visitor. There's also a short film about speech sound difficulties on our website, which you might find useful.
Try out.
Let's finish up with some ideas for you to try out with your child.
Supporting literacy and phonological awareness.
As your child starts nursery and school, they'll be having more formal education around sound awareness, also known as phonological awareness. And they'll be starting to learn to read and write their first words. It's really important to nurture this, especially in boys who tend to need more encouragement than girls to engage in reading and writing.
You might come across the term mark making. This describes all the important stages a child goes through with scribbling and drawing before they're able to start writing letters. Encourage mark making in any way you can. This doesn't just mean pen and paper. Use your imagination. Think of any way your child can make marks which are visible to them. Maybe using shaving foam on a table for your child to use their finger or paintbrush to make marks in, or using water and a brush on concrete in the garden. Encourage writing wherever you can and introduce it into play.
Raise their awareness of rhyming words and what sound words begin with. Remember not to confuse the letter name with the sound the letter makes, P as opposed to P. At school, they'll be focusing on the sound the letter makes. This is a phonological approach to reading and writing. Play around with words and sounds with games like I Spy or Think of a Word That Rhymes With.
Love books, love learning.
Encouraging a lifelong love of books can open up a whole world of opportunities and success for your child. Younger children will love picture books with simple stories, and older children will be able to cope with longer stories. Try books with poems written especially for kids. Reading favourite books over and over again may feel a little boring for you, but children love this and learn so much about reading and language because the text becomes predictable for them.
My
Thumb.
thumb, it could be the thumb, couldn't it? Let's have a look.
Keep reading fun. Make the stories come to life for your child. Use funny voices. Make comments about the pictures.
Ow! That is a big toilet roll.
Use props or puppets, or try making up your own
The
stories.
seal. It's quite a meal to swallow a seal.
Make regular trips to the library and explore other medias like e-readers or books with CDs. Use books as gifts or treats. Research by the National Literacy Trust has shown that children who receive books as gifts are more likely to read a lot. Be a good role model and let your child see you reading. It doesn't have to be a novel. Newspapers, magazines, road signs, or even takeaway menus are all great ways to show the benefits of reading.
Why not try helping your child create their own book reviews? Ask them what they liked about the book and if they'd recommend it to a friend, and write down their comments. They can add their own pictures.
Songs for today, words for life.
Songs provide the perfect structure for learning new words and developing sound awareness skills, because the language is repetitive and the rhythmic and rhyming structure makes them easier for children to remember and join in. Songs activate the whole of a child's brain. One side processes the words while the other side processes the music. Because the whole of the brain is activated, this makes the brain retain the information more easily. That's why concepts such as numbers are learnt so effectively with songs.
By now, your child will probably know more songs than you from nursery and school, and they'll enjoy reciting them for you. Try to sing with your child as often as possible throughout the day. Experiment with musical instruments as you sing together. Why not try making your own shakers from plastic bottles filled with pasta or rice? Or your own drums from pots and pans. Tapping out the rhythm to songs draws your child's awareness to the patterns and rhythms of language. This helps with learning to read and write. Making the most of TV.
It's all about getting the balance right with TV and kids. There are some benefits for 2 to 5 year olds watching a controlled amount of TV, such as helping with their understanding of vocabulary, sounds and numbers. But children who watch a lot tend to have poorer spoken language skills when these are tested.
Treat TV watching like sharing a book. Watch with your child and talk about what's happening. Ask questions about what might happen next and relate anything you see to your child's real-life experiences. Answer any questions your child asks during the programme and explain any new or unfamiliar words that come up. DVDs or recorded programmes are useful as your child can revisit them from time to time and they'll hear the same language repeated. Programmes that encourage your child to join in are good. Limit the amount of time your child watches TV. This is easier to control if you avoid putting a telly in your child's bedroom. Once the programme finishes, switch it off and do something together inspired by what you've just seen. How about getting the pens and paints out after a kids' art programme? Or making your own musical instruments with plastic bottles to sing the theme tune together? Listening activity. Read a book together and ask your child to listen out for a particular word, maybe one of the characters' names. Give them something fun to do like shake a shaker or clap their hands when they hear it. Start by emphasising the word each time it comes up, especially for younger children. Eventually, you can see if they can do it even when you don't emphasise the word.
You really are a good little wolf. Good girl.
Understanding language activity. Play games where your child has to understand 4 words in order to carry out an instruction, including position words like on and under. Use a pair of big and little animal toys and 2 pieces of furniture like a table and chair.
Can you put the big horse under the table? Well done, Eloise.
Try not to give away visual clues by pointing or looking at the objects as you give the instruction. Talking activity. Play this game again, but this time your child is in charge and they get to tell you where to put the animals. Encourage them to use 4 words that need to be understood to carry out the instruction.
Thanks for watching and enjoy helping your child grow into being a talented talker.